guys, it's Caleb from Rokblokz. Today in the shop we have a WILDCAT XX. We've got a Fender extension kit for you, so let's go ahead and show you how to install it. Here we have the tools laid out that you'll need for install. You'll need a T25 Torx, a 4mm and a 10mm wrench or socket. Those can be found on in our kit. Then you'll also need a Phillips head, a flat head, and then a drill with 5/16, 1/4 inch, and 1/8 inch drill bit. Here we have your front laid out. What you'll get in your kit is your flat for that corner. You'll get 3 mounting pull tabs that will pull through these locations here, and the hardware. We'll go ahead and put a breakdown of that hardware on the screen right now. Before we head over to the vehicle, we're going to pre-assemble the flap by pulling our pull tabs into our flap. To do so, we're going to take it, we'll pull it from the side without etching and without the logo, and then we'll pull it to the side with the etching and the logo. We're just going to repeat that for all 3 mounting locations. Click that into place like so. Now the flap is ready for installation. Let's head over to the vehicle and begin installing. Here we are at the front of the vehicle. To begin, we're going to turn the wheel opposite of the side that we're working on, just to gain clearance and access to inside the fender, because we'll be drilling a hole down here. So now that we've got our wheel turned, we're going to begin by removing the 2 factory screws right here and right here. Those are going to be our base point to set up the flap. So we'll go ahead and get those removed. They are T25 Torx. Now with those removed, we're going to grab our flap. We're going to take our OEM screws, put them through the provided large washers. Then we're going to use those to mount the flap back up. To start, we're going to mount it with the tabs on the outside of the fender. So I'll just go ahead and get these started. We don't want them fully tightened just yet. We're going to utilize the slots in the flap. Get that started by hand. Put that into position where we like it so that it's playing nice with the fender. Now we're going to come to the side. We're going to take our drill bit. We're just going to use our 1/8 inch drill bit. And if you want, you can also just mark with a Sharpie where you want it. But we're going to take it and we're going to drill towards the top side of the mount right here. Just a little bit past center towards the outside, just to offset it. So when it's on the inside, it'll sit right where we want it to. We'll go ahead, drill our pilot holes like so. Now we're going to grab our 1/4 inch drill bit. We're going to expand those holes. With those holes expanded, we'll grab our clips, we'll take our flap, we're going to push these on to our mount tabs so that the extruded portion is on the inside of the fender, like so. Now we're going to take that, tuck it on the inside of the fender. Now with our mount tabs on the inside of the fender, we're going to take our countersunk screws with dress washers. I'm going to thread it through the holes. Take our 4mm Allen head. Thread that in. those all started. Now we'll adjust our flap, making sure that it's in the position that we want, and we can fully lock down all the screws. So we'll start with the 2 OEM screws, and we'll work our way up the fender. If you're having any issues with these screws not lining up because your hole is just ever so slightly off, you can utilize the 5/16 drill bit, make your hole a little bit bigger, and then you'll have a little playroom. But ours went on nice and smooth. Now we have one more hole to drill. We're going to switch to that 5/16 drill. We're going to switch to the 5/16 drill bit, and now we're going to come around and drill this hole. Now the hole that we're going to drill is just through here and then through the portion of the liner right there. Take this, get it on the inside of our wheel well, drill our hole, then we're going to pull the flap out, take our insert, and we're going to push that in just directly to the liner like so. Then we'll place our flap back into position, grab our 1-inch screw with washer, and that's going to thread right into that insert. Go ahead. If you have any issues with your insert spinning, just add a little more inward pressure as you're tightening down, and that will help it catch until it expands and locks into position. Now with that fully tightened down, you can repeat these same steps on the other side. Now let's go ahead and jump to the rear. Here we have your rear laid out. What you'll get in your kit is your rear flap for that corner. You'll get your under brace that's made of ABS. Then you'll also get your mount tabs, which will pull through the flap here, and then the hardware. We'll go ahead and put a breakdown of that hardware on the screen right now. We're going to go ahead and pre-assemble the flap on the bench here. To do so, we're going to lift it. I'm going to put our ABS underneath. We're going to align it with the flap so that these 3 holes line up. And once we've got those lined up, the other holes will line up. Now we're going to take our 20mm countersunk with a dress washer, and we're going to put that down underneath. And on the back side, we'll take our large fender washer and an M6 nut, and we'll secure all of those in place. So now with that like so, we'll take our second one, align it, now we'll repeat that for our third mount point right here. With those lined up, we'll grab our number 4 Allen key and our 10mm, and we'll tighten those down. With those fully secured, we can now take our pull tabs. And there's 2 back here, so we'll go ahead push that through right here. Right there. And the remaining 3 along this edge here. Now our flap is ready for installation. Let's head over to the vehicle and begin installing. Here we are at the rear of the vehicle. We went ahead and removed the factory bed. On these WILDCATs, it's super easy. It's just the 4 bolts and then you remove it, but you probably already knew that. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to locate 2 screws on the underside of the fender here. We're going to remove them and then we're going to replace the clips. So let's drop down, look at removing the screws, and then we'll come to the back side and show you where to replace the clips. So the screws that we're going to want to remove is the one just above the heat shield right here, and then the one that's just in front of the square tubing here, over out to the side. So we'll remove this one, and this one here. We're then going to jump on the inside of the fender and remove the clips from those 2 locations. To remove the rearmost one, you may need to loosen the other 2 just a bit so you can separate the plastics. So we'll loosen those just a bit. Or they'll completely come out, and then we'll go ahead, lift this up, and you can take some needle nose, or I'm just going to try and pull it off with my finger. I'm going to grab we'll use our flathead. Make sure we're on the right one, which is the rearmost one right here. Go ahead, pry that one off. Now we'll work our way up to the front here. Slide that one off. We're now going to take our 2 number 14 clips, and we're just going to open them just ever so slightly with our flathead, just to make putting them on a little bit easier. So we'll just take it, slide our screwdriver in from this side, like so. And we'll twist our screwdriver just right open, just ever so slightly. Then we're going to slide these back over these mounting locations, aligning the holes. Like so. And if you remove the other 2 screws to flex the panel, we'll go ahead and tighten those back up. With that fully tightened back up and our clips in place, let's go ahead, prep our flap for installation, and then go ahead and start mounting. Now we're going to go ahead and take our long 4-inch number 14 screws, and we're going to prep them in the flap in these slotted holes. In the front hole here, we're going to take our longer spacers and the shortest spacer. So we'll take the 10 mil, put it on here, take our 2 30 mils, and then we'll go ahead and take our spacer retainer, which is just a little piece of material that has kind of an interesting shaped hole in it, but that's going to thread onto your number 14 screw really easy. If it's not going on easy, you can use your screwdriver on the head and screw it into it. On the back side here, we're going to take our 2 25mm spacers and our spacer retainer. I'm just going to lock that on. Take our Phillips head screwdriver, screw that up into it. Now you don't want this secured fully tight. You want it to still have a little wiggle room so that way it can flex and we can align it, slide it into place. Now with those in place, we can take our flap, put it up underneath the fender, and screw into those two number 14 clips that we just put. So let's go ahead. We're going to drop down for this part. Grab our Phillips head screwdriver. And you'll need to tuck the flap up over this heat shield here, like so. And we're going to take this and we're going to align that screw so that it's going into the clip that we just put up there. I want to flex that into place. This takes a little work. Want to find the hole. Go ahead. Start screwing that upwards into that clip. And at this point, we're going to have our mount tabs on the outside. And we're just going to get this started a few threads in so that it holds it, supports itself. We'll align the front. Get that started, a few screwed turns in. Now with that in place, we'll go ahead, we're going to tighten just the rear one upward to close the gap here, and that will set the alignment for our mount tabs back here. And then along the side here, we'll go like that. Next, we're going to take our 1/8 inch drill bit, and like we did for the front, we're going to take it, we're going to drill just slightly towards the top side of the hole. Pushing the flap up against the fender as tight as we can. Now we'll get our back ones back here. We'll switch to our 1/4 inch drill bit, and using those pilot holes, we're just going to expand them. Clean up a little bit. Now, with all our holes opened up, I'm going to go ahead, loosen this rear one up, get it to where it moves around. We're going to take our clips, I'm going to slide these on top of our mount tabs, pushing them into place. Holding our flap down just by flexing. Now these can tuck up inside and slide the flap in. Go ahead and get the back side done here. Now we'll go ahead, tuck those up inside. tighten our bottom screws just a little bit more. Not fully tight yet. Now we're going to take our 25mm countersunks and screw directly into our clips. If you're worried at all about scratching your fender during installation, you can put some blue painter's tape on there and remove it just barely before you start tightening these down. Now we're going to take our 4mm Allen key and tighten these all down. As I'm tightening this one, I'm just kind of pressing the flap upward to close the gap around here. With that nice and snug, we'll continue working our way towards the front. There you go. Now that we have the sides fully tightened down, we can go ahead, grab our Phillips head screwdriver, and fully tighten the 2 screws on the bottom. Now with those 2 tightened down, you can repeat those same steps on the other side. After that side's done, throw your bed back in, and then you're ready to hit the trails. Thanks for watching.